Hi guys, it's Tony for eModels.co.uk. Welcome to, ooh, you shouldn't be there. Welcome to part 4 of the Tamiya 1/12 scale Yamaha YZR M1'09 build. I got it right. Yay! Yes! I put myself off again now. What was I doing? Yes, so right in the middle of organising all the bits and pieces and labelling things up for the primer that we're about to do outside. I'm actually going to have to do that in my dad's shed, and unfortunately I can't take you in there with me to film because there's no room. But just off camera, in between the last couple of episodes and this one, I've been putting together things like brake calipers and taking things off the frames in preparation. You know, we've got ridiculously tiny pieces like this that will be fixing into the side of the suspension struts, like so. So I've got to label all these up and figure out what's what and put them all on crocodile clips and things like that. What I'm also doing is taking the time to figure out how this little contraption works here. Now, if you remember, in episode 1 we put a polycap inside the engine there, which apparently is for the little sprocket that goes in the engine, like so. And that's held together with the tiniest pin in the world, which is just here. So that's what that tiny little polycap was for. So that incredibly tiny bolt there. Oops, sorry, smacking the head whilst I'm at it. So that will hold little sprocket, which means I don't have to worry about painting this side of the cog, because that's actually going to be covered by the engine, so I can get away with that. So I can actually use that part as a bracing point alongside the very, very small circle there that fits inside the rear wheel. So it's just daft little things like this at the moment, planning on how I'm going to paint this. So got a couple more things I've left to do, like trimming that off the frame in a minute. That off the frame, I'm not looking forward to that part. And these clear wheels that were on the clear frame that comes with the, it's not a canopy at all, is it? It's a windscreen. See, I'm used to building planes and things like that. Not called canopies on bikes, are they? I don't know. So that goes onto the rear kickstand thing that hoiks the bike up in the air. And what I've used to glue these on is Tamiya's white glue, which worryingly says that on the side. That's yeah, makes me wonder. It really does make me wonder who's drinking this for them to put poison on the side of the bottle. So it's 11% synthetic resin, 89% styrene organic solvent. Which apparently you can use on these clear parts, because that's styrene plastic. And as you can see, it's quite a firm joint. I'm putting a fair amount of pressure on that. I wouldn't recommend doing that in real life, but yeah, it is a decent bond. And as you'll see here now, compared to the extra thin cement, yeah, it's a bit gloopier, whereas this one's like really runny. If you compare the size of the brushes too, so it gives you an idea of where you can and can't use this. Now, massive great big brush I'm not going to be able to use for capillary action or anything like that. It literally is a case of blobbing it on. Old styley. And just a little bit of pressure to make sure the piece catches. So it's literally like the old style glue that we used to have a few years back. Blob it on, off you go. It's lovely. And because it is a little bit gloopier too, it's brilliant for sanding. I've actually used it to stop picking up my background. to glue these halves of the strut together. Stop picking up the background. Come on, focus. So there's quite a nasty seam line there, so hopefully we should be able to take care of that now. I'll screw the lid on before I knock it over. Now, happily, with the windscreen itself, having done a dry fit off camera, I'll get round to it towards the end of the build. We don't actually need to glue the windscreen in. I'm just going to very quickly sand over that part for you, like we've done before. Yeah, it's perfectly smooth. So the glue's actually filled the seaming, which is marvellous. We like that. We do like that. So I'm going to carry on messing about like this off camera for a few minutes, just going around all the seams, making sure they're all okay. So I can't put this off any longer. I'm going to have to start clipping. So I don't know if you can make that out just there. There is actually a split in the link anyway, because you've got to thread it through this piece here somehow. I've not quite figured that part out yet. So we'll have a quick play and see what's what, until I'm concentrating on posing. So that's not as painless as not as painful as I thought it was going to be. So just shows you that if I can do it, you guys definitely can. You'll hopefully be able to see there now that split. So excuse me, croaky throat's back. Apparently, let's get the instructions. Let's see what's what. That's the front. There we go. There we go. What do we? Right. So around. I resign. I really do. Hopefully you can hear me above the noise of a vacuum cleaner. If not, I'll also refilm this clip anyway and I'll leave this in for a blooper. I've actually made a bit of a boo-boo. This cover thing here shouldn't have gone on yet, but as we can hopefully see, if my lighting is picking this up, we can still... This worked perfectly a second ago. Oh, I resign. There we go. Let's go that way. So we can still push it back through. It's not a problem. It does go. And then that goes into here like so. But on the opposite side where the engine is, it actually all lines up in there like that. So it's a bit faffy, a bit finangly. The instructions actually show you how to do that upside down as part of the construction, but yeah, I know it's a boring old box and it's rubbish and stuff like that, but it's the only way I can show you this at the moment because my desk is an absolute tip. I've run out of space completely. Again, happens every build. I set out with every good intention of having lots of room and lots of tidy stuff, and then I end up being really crowded. I can't do anything. Bonkers. It's always right before I start painting. I don't know. Right, so let's get all this sorted out again. Sorry about the creaky hinges. So basically all I'm doing now is running around with cocktail sticks, as you can see here. Cocktail sticks and crocodile clips. We're making Das Hedgehog of Doom. Stay. So we're getting cocktail sticks into holes that are already there for us and things like that, but where we can't stick a cocktail stick into a hole, we're going to use white tack on the end of a cocktail stick. Now use white tack if you can. I've lost my box. Where's the box? Now, I'm using that particular brand here in the UK. Now I'm sure others are available, Like that. You should be able to get them on stationery shops online. This is one of those things that you need that for some strange reason you can't find anywhere until you actually have a search online. Use white tack if you can, because the blue tack stuff there tends to be a little bit too greasy and it does leave a residue behind. White tack doesn't for some reason, or it hasn't done for me so far. And on things like this wheel it doesn't matter about using that hub there, because that's actually going to be covered by the first half of a brake caliper anyway. I'll move my hands around because the little screen at the back here isn't very good with this lighting at the moment. I need a new camera too. Need a new SD card, need a new camera, need new lights. Everything's falling apart all at once. It's great. Right in the middle of a really important build as well. Yay! So, these things are sent to try us. Indeed they are. So let's get that wheel working and get some more cocking tail sticks. I'll go through these like there's no tomorrow. I'll try and recycle as many as I can, but I still end up losing loads and loads and loads and I have no idea where they go. Some of the crocodile clips too. I searched for about half an hour before trying to find some. Eventually I did. But, yeah, it's half an hour wasted. They were supposed to be in a safe place that I'm supposed to be able to find it straight away, and I couldn't. I don't know. Sorry, I'm not showing you that, am I? I do beg your pardon. So I'm going to carry on doing this so I'm not boring you completely with... Oh, kids shouting outside. No, I'm not boring you completely with watching half an hour's worth of this, because trust me, it's boring. It really is. So I'm going to go away and do that, and hopefully when we come back we'll have stuff primed. Now, quick thing about primer. I'm going to be using Tamiya's fine surface primer. Now, you absolutely do need to prime things. Don't just go smacking straight in with your paint. What this primer will actually do is etch into the plastic a little bit and react with the plastic. It'll give us a nice fine surface. As lovely smooth as that is, and as lovely as smooth as this paint will end up being when it goes on, it's actually at the microscopic level full of little pits that paint like this when we come along later on with the airbrush. This stuff can actually adhere better to primer than it can to bog standard kit plastic. So you absolutely do need to prime. I'll be using this stuff for this kit because I've got it. Ordinarily I would be using something like this, which is also available from eModels. This stuff does take a hell of a long time to dry though, I've found. I've used this before and left it for about 4 days and it's still not cured properly. My current builds at the moment, I'm actually having time because of work and private life and things going on in the background. I'm actually able to leave a project for quite a while before I come back to it. So that stuff gets enough time to cure. This stuff cures really, really quickly, so that's why I'm going to be using this for this build. Because I want to get this build done quickly now, because I'm building a bike for the first time in a long, long time, but it's the first one at this scale, and it's... oh, so I just want to crack on with this now. But yeah, use the best primer you can afford just to get the paint on. Because like I say, if I try and paint straight away onto that plastic, it just won't take at all. So you definitely need primers. Wasn't the best description of a primer in the world. There are better descriptions available online everywhere else, but that's my version of it. Yeah, I know, it's basic. Now, like I said a second ago, I'm going to be naffing about using crocodile clips and all kinds of white tack and cocktail sticks to get everything ready into the Hedgehog of Doom. But I'm also going to look at last little things like that horrible lip. Sorry, the lighting's shocking. That horrible lip just there, and one on that side, which I'm absolutely convinced shouldn't be there. So I'm going to take care of those really quickly. But also, the suspension spring. I could drive myself absolutely bonkers with styrene rod or brass rod or finding a pencil or paintbrush or something like that that's going to take properly with that. Instead, I'm just going to use a tiny little bit of cardboard just to hold that in place. Okie doke. Yeah, just to hold that in place. So, oh hello, I was falling over. So, trust me, I've done this before with other springs and other car kits and things like that. A little bit of cardboard like that will stand up to 20 psi through an airbrush. Don't know how. It's magic and witchcraft and things like that that I really can't explain. So, standing stick, standing stick, standing stick, standing stick, standing stick. There you are. Let's have a quick nibble at this now. And again, just because we can't quite see that, I'm going to use just a dark colour. Any random dark colour, it could be any colour you want, as long as it's dark and it contrasts with what we're working on. So I've got, looks like rubber black, I didn't check. I'm just going to run that along the line there. So it's exactly the same as you saw with the what's it called? This thing I was working on in the last episode. Front mudguard, that's the one. So exactly the same. I'm going to do another one just over here. Like so. Once that flashes off and dries, you'll see what I mean about painting onto plastic without using any primer. Ooh, I'm killing two birds with one stone. Look at me, I'm actually teaching. So I can't use that one because it's still wet. I can use this one. If I rub on that, it's going to prove me wrong now. There we go. The paint starts coming away. Just a little bit. It says. So there's a tiny, don't know if you can make that out. Tiny line of cracking. A tiny line cracking appearing as I'm rubbing away. If we give it some stick, you can see how easily that comes away. Now with the primer, that paint will actually stay down. That's going against every instinct I've got. So we can see there, the shadow line straight away. Now I'll give it a bit of rough. That's the shadow line that's created by that lip. So we definitely don't want that. So I'll do this one side just to show you what we're up to. Like I say, it's exactly the same as we did in the last episode. There you go. Where I've been handling at the front. All the paint's coming away. I've not even touched that with a sanding stick. So I'm just going to scratch away at this just to get rid of that line. I didn't quite get home from working time to beat the light. So unfortunately I definitely can't take it into the shed with me because lighting in there really is shocking. I'll barely be able to see what I'm doing myself. So next time I promise I will take it with me when I'm prime. There we go. I'm just going to work with the smoother grades now. give it a wipe. Wet your finger. This saliva will do it. No worries. Go into the smoother grip. We'll bob along. Just taking care of that, and then we'll come into the bigger sanding spot. Oh, that's it. Right. Change of plan. I'm finishing this line off, and then I'm going to get some coffee. See if that'll wet my brain and my mouth up. Squeakage. Perfectly smooth. We like that. Right. So I'm going to bob away, get a brew, finish that off, and then into the shed and do some priming. So when we come back, you will see that all that, I'm doing all that off camera because it's all up here and over there, like so, plus the load in the box. But yeah, when we come back, you'll see it all primed. I'll see you soon. Things are drying. Things are drying. Things are drying. This is the worst part now. Waiting for the primer to set and cure and things like that. I'm actually going to leave this overnight to cure properly. I'm with it being a proper build, I'm worried about, well, you know what I mean. A proper professional build. I want it to cure properly so that I'm having no incidents whatsoever when I start putting the paint down. Speaking of which, at this point, my regular viewers are going to roll their eyes and go, oh, here he goes again. In real life, there is no such thing as black or white. It's all shades of grey. Oh, there we go. There's the logo. Try and keep the logo in. So, what we'll be doing once all this is cured is we'll be working on the frame and the swing arm first and getting all those painted and ready. Because in real life, when you're building a bike, you start with a frame and a swing arm so you can get everything bolted to it. So, I'll just chuck you out of the way for a second. I'll do close-ups in the editing for this. So if we have a look on the reference photos that it gives us, in the instructions, this area here where the handlebars are and the headstock and things like that, the whole thing is called out for in virtually the same shade of black, which was X18, beg your pardon, semi-gloss black. But if we have a look there, like I say, I'll hopefully flash this up in the edit. The brake lever and the grip for the handlebars, and then the area just behind the grip, it's all like a couple of different shades of black and things like that. So rather than doing everything in X18, what we'll be doing is painting everything that's going in black. So it's the main frame, the swing arm, I got the swing arm, get the logo back in, Tony. Swing arm, the headstock, underneath the headstock, and then the two parts that attach either side of the main suspension struts. These actually attach that way around, if that makes sense. Something like that, once you get the suspension strut in. What else have we got? Sort of daft bits like this as well off the engine, all the ancillary parts that I asked you not to let me forget in episode 1. I've not forgotten yet. I will do eventually. I know what I'm like. There's this little scoopy thing from, it's actually that way around, from the front cowl, so that'll be going in black. And obviously we get the handlebars themselves. What I've done there is I've mounted them on some styrene rod that I've got lying about. There we go, there he is. So I've got loads of different lengths of styrene that I've collected over the years. So just to help myself out, it's actually the right diameter as well. I just did that just to give me something to hold on to, which was all lovely. What else is there? There's a couple of levers as well from the engine itself. So what I'll be doing once these are ready is I'll be painting them in Tamiya's rubber black XF85 just to give us something different to look at. What we'll be doing then as well is we're going off and painting things like this part here, the over wheel protecty thing. That needs to be carbon fibre. I think I said it in the first video, I hate doing carbon fibre decals. They terrify me to start with because they always crinkle up, and you've got to trim them down and get them ready and start splicing into things and stuff like that. They're not pre-cut for you most of the time. But it's not just that, they look, I don't know, they look false when you put them on. I've yet to find a proper decal for carbon fibre that looks genuinely... Yeah, it's at this point when you're editing a build together that you go, oh no. I think I've mentioned it a couple of times throughout the build series so far. My SD card or my camera, one of the two, is misbehaving, and I'm getting all kinds of black flickers in my footage and a little bit of sound problems here and there, and then sometimes footage goes missing, like right now. What happened next was I went off and found this stuff, and I gave you a quick waffle about, I can't remember the exact wording of it now, but basically the rubber black that we're going to lay down then gets overcoated with some of this to recreate the carbon fibre decal effect. It's not great, but it's a little bit more realistic than a decal, and I basically spent about 3 minutes waffling about that, but that's completely missing, so we'll catch that up when I actually get around to it. That, in real life right now, is actually done, and it's hiding just there, out of reach, off camera, but I'm going to make you wait for that, because I'm mean like that, I am. Alright, sneak peek. Whoop, there you go. Sneak peek. Yeah, I know, I mean, carry on watching. That way. Go this way, I think. Is it? I don't know. The fun bit begins. Time for the painting. Okay, so into the view of the airbrush. This is an Iwata Revolution CR that I've had for many years now. That's what put the compressor on, wasn't it? Oh. Double action airbrush. The first action is push down for air, as you can hear. Hopefully above the... oh, that's a bit screechy. Above the compressor, so that's the air. So that's the first action. The second action is we pull back the paint, like so, and into the cup of the double action airbrush we are going to put some Tamiya XF85 rubber black. Focus, there we go. So we're going to use this as the basis for the majority of the black parts on the bike, and I'm going to do a 50-50 mix of H28 thinners, also by Tamiya, to paint. Now this isn't an exact measure. I'm at a stage now where I'm very comfortable with my airbrushing. I can throw in an amount of X28 and then a similar amount of that, so you get half and half, 50-50, a 1-to-1 mix. If it helps you, I definitely recommend getting some of these pipette things, and then instead of just squirting in like I've just done, so like I say, I'm really comfy now with where I am with the airbrushing. We can actually measure on the pipette exactly how much we're putting in. Squirty, squirty, squirty. So if it helps you to do that, then definitely do so. Oh, knocking stuff over again off camera. Lovely. So, let's say roughly half and half. So whatever I put in of thinners, I'm going to use roughly the same amount in paint. And then using a Grotio brush, I'm just going to mix all that together, like so. There's reason we've put thinners in first as well is if we just drop the paint into the cup, you get loads and loads of goop down the bottom end here. So then when we come to use the airbrush, hardly anything can come through, and you've got a load of thinners sat on top. And trust me, it's a mistake I've made quite a few times. I'm just going to block the nozzle, just very gently blow some air in to the cup, just to give us the final mix. Now, the airbrush, when it works, push down for air, it comes forward, and right at this front end here, let's get away from the logo because it's focusing on that, we've got a conical housing. Come on, focus, focus. What that's doing is it's causing the air to go into a tighter spiral, like a little tornado if you like, into that little cone there, and then when it comes out the business end, the cone splaying back out helps the air come back into a big tornado. It's very, very fantastic how it works. Very, very fantastic. Whoever designed it was a genius. So I'm just going to pop all this out. So I've got something nice and tidy to work in. Oh, it's been a long day at work, ain't it? Guys, it works properly. So, just on a piece of paper towel in the booth itself. I'm just going to test the airflow, just make sure everything's okay. Now, if we watch when I push down, purely for air, no trigger coming backwards, it's just air coming out. If I pull back slightly with the trigger, you start seeing paint come out. Now that's a tiny, tiny little mount back, as you can see. This is that nice thin line. The more we pull back on the trigger, the more paint you get coming out. You can probably see that's really, really wet now where I've done that. It's like a big blap. So what we're going to try and do is find a nice little balance between air and paint coming out. So it's just like that. That's what we're after. And we're going to do several light coats. So instead of blapping everything through all in one go, just going to very gently build the layers up. Probably seeing it's not the best angle in the world. I'm hardly pulling back on the trigger. That's all. And I'm always moving as well. I'm not staying in one place all the time. Biggest danger there if you stay in one place all the time, you just get a big build of the paint. Now we start covering detail then. And normally I would have the compressor going whilst I do this, so a lot of this is actually blowing back at me as it's bouncing off the model itself. The last thing you want to do is start breathing all this stuff in. It's rubbish. It's not good for you. Don't know how well that's going to pick up on camera. Let's get that piece there. There's actually still primer coat showing through that layer there that I've just done in places, and that's fine. Like I said, we want to build up nice even layers, and preferably in 2 or 3 coats if we can, rather than hitting it all in one go. So that's okay. We can leave that off to one side now, and we can just do the same with everything else. So nice even coat. Don't try and cover everything in one go. Like so. Just the best piece in the world to show you. What I'm also going to do is the inside of these cowlings and body panels have to go in black as well. So I'm just going to take the time to catch a few of those. I'm just going to use some Tamiya tape on the back just to help me out with the handling. And again, we're going very gentle, just build up layers, and be careful that you don't get any spray through onto the fronts. It's not a problem if we do. You can always take care of that later on with the next paint layers that are coming through. So just to demonstrate, I'm actually going to hold that way and try and get some paint on this scoop here. There we go. So I've got some paint on that scoop. Not a huge problem at all. We can actually use that as shading. It really isn't a problem. But once we get round to it, I'll show you again how to take care of that. Don't panic about it right now. Leave it to dry, let it do its thing, otherwise you'll start messing about with it too much and you'll start stripping paint away. So I've got a flashy battery up in this corner, so I'm going to take care of that and then we'll come back and carry on. Back in a moment. So that's episode 4, ready to be processed as soon as I enter this clip that I'm filming right now, this clip here. Ooh, fingers dark. Well, woo! Yep, so as always, thanks for watching. Bob belongs to eModels, there's a logo here somewhere. Bob belongs to eModels, and tell them that I sent you, and they'll probably lock the doors and call the police. But Bob along, if they don't have it, you don't need it. Simple as that. As always, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in episode 5 when you'll get to see more of this nonsense being put together. Take care, guys.